Hey everybody, Chad, Nobody Else's Auto. We've been bringing you a lot of content from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We've got a treat for you tonight. We're sitting here with Felix DeGuider, who was involved with Glenn Prey and his company back in the early 60s when they came out with the new variation of the cord, which was the cord 8/10 size, slightly smaller, slightly different, same look, and just a new version of it with newer technology in the 60s of the original car. And you were there.
Right, yep. Glenn brought me from California. I was just discharged from the Navy, and he called and he said, well, I want you to come back and work for us and sort these parts and so forth. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to go to Oklahoma. You got tornadoes. And he says, well, you got earthquakes. I said, yeah, but when the earthquake hits, it's over and you don't know it, you know. So anyway, we went back and forth about it. And pretty soon he says, how much does this new job of yours pay? Now you gotta remember, I'm just getting out of the Navy and I made $234 a month. And I thought for a minute, I thought, well, the job pays $80 a week, which I think it only paid 70. But I had to raise it just a little bit. So he says, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll pay you $82.50. Okay. I said,
all you had to do is move
when
halfway
do you
across
want
the
me there?
country.
He says, just as soon as you can get here. So within probably 7 days, we loaded up my 58 Chevy pickup, put everything we had that would fit in there, and the wife, we had one child that was 14 months old, and had another one in the hopper. So we got here and had one in April, had a child in April. So anyway, went to work for Glenn. He took me into the secret room and he says, we're gonna build this Cord automobile. I said, well, I don't know anything about a Cord. He says, well, see that picture up there? He says, we're gonna build that car. We're gonna build it with that engine on this table. And I thought, you're a crazy old man. But you gotta, you know, I'm getting ready to turn 21. He's 37, so he was old. Well, now I'm 79, and you know, I think the gap closed a lot. So anyway, we started building the cords on that table. We took the first one, took the chassis at first and took it to the World's Fair, 1964. And it did a real good job up there. It was a good hit. We had about 100 cars sold, which helped. Everybody put up a little deposit. Anyway, we built 6 prototypes, and I know where all the prototypes are, and then we built the finished cars, the production cars, and we built a total of 91 cars. Now I've got the last one built, and it's number 92. And you know, people say things don't add up, you know. Well, there's 97 cars we built. And so I said, well, we didn't build a number 6. They just flat skipped number 6. I think they skipped number 77 also.
Oh, really?
And because in all the paperwork I've looked through, 77 has got one comment on there, and it says Dr. P's question mark. Well, Dr. P's bought number 76. 77, no information on it at all.
So they had just gotten skipped and there was just a clerical error or something, or?
I think so. So maybe there's only really 97 cars, or 96 cars. So anyway, this one here is number 68. We've been playing with the paint on this for about 10 years. So I took it apart 10 years ago, and I'm having a little problem finding the parts because they've been moved several times.
So are you doing a full restoration on this car? Or?
Oh, when you do a cord, you really can't do a complete because the body does not come off the chassis. It's glued fiberglass on there. So I'm just, the engine has been rebuilt probably, 2,000 miles ago. And the other day, the first time I put the battery to it and hit it, fired right up. So we're fine there. But I'm replacing anything and everything that I can get my hands on, make it pretty, and just make it a nice running, driving car. And it'll sparkle a little bit because the flakes in the paint. But I worked for Glenn, up through 66. Then that's when he started building the Auburns. And Glenn had come back from the Accord factory at that time, so he moved back into the ACD factory. So I kind of went and got another job, worked for Prue for 30 some years, and I retired and made the fatal mistake of going back down there to Glenn's, check on him, and all of a sudden,
Are you saying you got roped back in?
I'm doing the same thing then I did 50 years before. But I was always in and out of the factory. One time I went with him up to Auburn, Indiana, and I think I rode up with Walt. It's the only thing I can remember. But coming home after the show, we're in a #1 prototype, the one that's sitting outside, and we go down to Fort Wayne. He stops, he fills the car up with gas. So I thought, okay, fine. Yep. Pretty soon he takes off and he starts driving out through the Tules. I thought, where are we going? And pretty soon he pulls up this big building. And he gets out of the car, he hands me a $10 bill. He says, I'm flying home, I'll see you in Tulsa. So I head out of there, which was probably late in the afternoon, and pretty soon it gets dark, and I flip the lights on, and pretty soon it starts raining, and I flip the wipers on, but there's nothing there. And with the rain, and it's dark, you can't see. I thought, okay, what am I gonna do? I don't have enough money for a hotel. So I kept going down the road, and I figured out I could sit in the right-hand seat. And with the V windshield, I didn't have the glare. And with the 4-speed, once I got it in 4th gear, I was in business. It just operated foot feed with my left foot and hang on the steering wheel. So I drove that way most of the night until it quit raining, and then I moved back over. But throughout my whole time down there with Glenn, which was 54, 55 years, there's lots of stories, lots of fun things we did, and there was times you didn't realize how fun it was because we're so involved in this, in the Alberts and in the Accords, and it's crazy because people said, I'd pay to work here, which I think some pay to work there. But anyway, that was my tour. I thought 55 years was probably long enough a few years ago, and I told Doug, I said, well, I'm going to take the motor home and go on a month's cruise someplace, and I'll be back. And he says, well, are you coming back? I said, I don't know. So anyway, I said, I got to go back over to my place because I've got 30 cars sitting around here that I need to work on, and that's what I've been doing the last 3 years now. So
it's still working on the Glen Prairie cars.
Still working on them, and problem is I get one fixed, and all of a sudden somebody buys it, and then I buy another one, and I got to fix it. So I just keep. I've got 2 that I have bought. I've got to go pick up, and one of them I'll get this weekend, and the other one, I don't know, someday. It's only been a year and a half since I bought it, so no big thing.
Worry about.
But anyway, it's been fun, enjoyable, and there's nothing like it. Try it.
And this one right here, since you got the hood off, you can really see how this Corvair engine was set up in these little cores.
Okay, everybody asks, well, why did you put the Corvair engine in there? You could have put so many other engines in there. Okay, let's go back to 1963. You tell me what else could be put in there that would be front wheel drive.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So, and Gordon Bierig came up with this. They were up in Buffalo, and Gordon Bierig said, "Hey, put a Corvair in there. It'll work." And Glenn says, "No, it won't." He says, "There's not enough room to turn the wheels." So they're in a hotel. They go downstairs. They get a yardstick, and they walk the streets till they find a Corvair. And they get under there, and he measures, and he said, "Well, there is enough room. Okay, I guess we'll do that." But then Gordon Bierig put us in contact with U.S. Rubber to make this body material. The ABS plastic, or Royalite as it's called, Detroit did not want anything to do with a plastic car. And so we were the guinea pig, and they got more press on this Cord project than they had on any other project that they ever did. I went back in 98. There was, I don't know how many boxes of stuff that people sent us. It's not stuff we gathered, it's stuff we sent, that people sent. And we, I took it, sorted it out, and I ended up with 13 nice big fat folders for Glenn. And I'd take one down to him every time I got one filled, and he'd sit there and read it, and he said, "I didn't know we were doing all this stuff." And I said, "No, we did it." And I said, "The reason you don't know is because you were out selling and promoting, and this was stuff that was happening here at the factory." He said, "Oh, yeah, that's right." So one day he said, "Go get me a highlighter." I said, "What do you need a highlighter for?" He said, "Well, I need one." I said, "Okay." So I went and got him a highlighter. About 2 months later, he says, "I need another highlighter." I said, "I just bought you one." He said, "Well, I need another one." I said, "How'd you run out of ink that fast?" He said, "Well, every place that said I was a genius, I highlighted it." But yeah, that's all. That was the fun stuff.
Right.
And the 13 albums I took to him, I broke it down in letters from clients and U.S. Rubber, newspaper articles, magazine articles. What else is there? There's all kinds of newspaper articles. God, there's probably 2 albums of just newspaper articles. And then there's one album on the Cord, or the Auburn Speedster, and it's got the dual cal in there too. There wasn't that much on those 2. But the Cord, we got a lot of ink, lots of ink. We took one, U.S. Rubber took one of these, number 4, and ran it through a double brick wall. And when it came out the other side, there's a film of it. And it pushed in the headlights, it pushed the windshield back a little bit, it scratched the paint, but didn't hurt the body at all.
Which was groundbreaking in the early 60s.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had one down here at the muffler shop, and they were putting the mufflers on it, and the kid was, it was his birthday, and man, he was in a hurry. He wanted to go to Grand Lake and celebrate his birthday, and so the car was parked outside, and the one he was working on, he backed out, and big truck with a big trailer hitch, and cut that front fender, cut a gap in it about that wide, probably that long. You know, and the kid, that was the worst birthday he ever had, he said. Because I called him Monday, and I said, "Well, is my car ready?" And he said, "Well, kinda." I said, what do you mean, kinda? He said, "Well, we got a little problem." I said, "Well, no big deal. Whatever it is." So I go down there and look at that, and I thought, oh, yeah, okay. So we turned it into the insurance company, and they paid. So when they got done, I just took it, put it in my little shop over there at the house, and I put 2 heat lamps on it, and I went to bed. And I got up the next morning, and my gap went from here down to about there. and then I filled it in with Speed Grip 5 and the green stuff, and man, it turned out great. Never knew, and I'm not a body man by any means, but that did good. I have found 80 of the 97 so far. I've got 17 more to go, or 16. People ask how many were 4-speeds and how many were automatics. I've never counted, but I think maybe half and half. The turbocharged cars were all 4-speeds because Chevrolet didn't make an automatic transmission for the turbos. And well, there's one car that has a turbo that's got an automatic that somebody put in it, and it took, that guy couldn't figure out how to keep it going, and then he sold it to a guy, and then I bought it back because I sold it to him in the first place, and then it came back down to the factory, and the guys messed with it for a couple months, and they finally got it to work right. But you just, you got to know what you're doing and have patience, and sometimes you have to walk away and then come back the next day and it'll fall together. But no, it's a good little car. We used any part that was available over the counter. We used. It's got all Corvair drivetrain. It's got Corvair steering. It's got Studebaker switches inside. It's got Rambler American brakes. The U-joints were special for this car, but all the other parts you can buy over the counter. Your master cylinders, go down to Napa, they've got it. The wheel cylinders, Napa's got it.
So they're still a very serviceable car even in today's world.
Yes, yes. And these people that buy the cars, most of them, they'll call me. And I said, well, I bought this car, da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, okay, good. Now, before you get started on the thing, goes tearing things apart, and if you're going to be working on the brakes, call me first, and let me give you all the numbers I have, and that way you're not out running trying to find parts. They're already found. You just got to go get them. I don't sell many parts for these because you can buy them over the counter.
Yeah.
Unless it's something weird. I had a guy that needed that hood prop there, that hinge for the hood, and I sent him pictures of this one and pictures of the other one over there with the hood open, and he sent me a picture this morning of one he made. I'll tell you this, it's pretty close to factory. I told him, I said, well, looks like factory to me. But, in the years that these cars have been around, some parts do get lost, and you find them. I've got that new bumper over there on the counter. It'll go in this car. It's all brand new plating. Everything's been plated on the car except for the windshield. And that was not a cheap little deal. But anyway, it's gonna have parts, pipes on both sides. It's gonna be different than a lot of cars. It'll look more like the original Cord pipes on both sides.
I see. Well, they're neat little cars, that's for sure.
Yep.
And what's great is getting your stories about it because you were there. You were there
I was in the middle
as
of it.
this started from a bare frame and went into development and into production to here we are almost 60 years later, and you're still helping guys with them, restoring them, working on them, sharing your knowledge and your information. And that's what's cool about it. And that's the whole part of the old car hobby. That's why we're in it.
That's right.
Because it's a passion. We love it. And it's the stories, it's the history that goes along with what we love is what makes it great. And when guys like you take time to share your stories and help us out, it's so great for the whole hobby in general. So we thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time to explain this to us, show it to us, and talk about, because you can only get the true story when you were there, and you were there. That's what's neat about it.
That's right.
So anyway, is that all you had for us?
I think that's probably enough for a little bit.
Well, we thank you for your time. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to hang out with us and explain some of this stuff. It was really great. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Something a little different, especially when you get the development from the guy that was there and all the way up to today where he's still involved with them. So definitely want to thank Felix for taking his time and explaining this stuff to you. As always, if you're on Facebook, please share the video with your friends. Invite them to jump over, like the page so they can stay up with the new videos. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. Check out all my other old car stuff. Tons of stuff coming from the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And you're going to have a lot of neat content coming, and this is just a small piece of it. These guys have been so great to spend some time with us, so can't thank them enough. And thanks to all of you for stopping by, hanging out with us for a few minutes tonight, and checking out what we've got going on. Hope to see you soon on the next video, and thanks for watching.